Thank you very much, Simon. Well, we've got a bit of drama already. This never starts easily, does it? Because Andy Jordan, who should be on the front row of the grid, is not there at the moment. There's a gap where Andrew Jordan should be. Now, the car is still in the pit garage. We gather there's been a problem starting the car up. That's all we know at the moment, Tim.
Yeah, I walked past the garage earlier, just about 10 minutes ago. No sign of any problem, but I gather there's a power problem, so an electrical problem somewhere in getting it fired up. There they are, working frantically at the car. They'll be hoping to get the car running, start at the back of the grid and have a safety car. But it does make things a little bit easier just at the front. It's one less car between Jason Plato and the two Hondas.
That's right. That's crucial in terms of the championship, because Jason Plato has now lost a car between himself and his big rival. So it is all the work going on from the Pertec crew, and you've got to feel for them, because it's a great qualifying performance from him yesterday. Talked to Andrew's dad, Mike, and he said, looking at the lap, he just knew it was a good lap. Watching him come back into clearways, it was a mega lap. I mean, he really hooked it up well, and now, of course, he's not going to be able to take full advantage of that. So that leaves Jason Plato on his own on that front row, his fourth pole position of the season. He's had 15 wins at Brands Hatch in the past 7 years. He loves this track. Of course, a double victory on the Indy circuit earlier on this year. He's well placed to do the same. They move away on the formation lap. He's followed, of course, by James Nash, by his teammate Alex McDowell, and he could play an important part in this race ahead of the two Hondas.
Yeah, McDowell has to be a little bit careful, though. He's got quite a few points on his licence, so he can't afford to get involved in too much argy-bargy. So on the one hand, he'll be helping his teammate, but on the other hand, he'll be trying to be careful of his own points on his licence.
So here we are at Brands Hatch on the most glorious summer's day possible, and yet it is October. Fantastic. Beautiful day. Let's take a look at the grid. It is Jason Plato and a gap where Andrew Jordan should be, because the car's still in the pit garage. James Nash and Alex McDowell on the second row. Shedden and Matt Neal, the two championship leaders, are on row 3 in their Hondas. Matt Jackson and Paul O'Neill, that's a battle on row 4 between Ford and Chevrolet. Thomas Lecole and Tom Chilton in the two Team Aon Fords, row 5. Then row 6, Dan Welsh and Tom Ballman, that's Proton and Seat. Collard is back on row 7 with the star of Rockingham and the last couple of events, in fact, Frank Rathel in his NGTC Toyota. Ollie Jackson makes his debut in the 888 Vauxhall. He's got Andy Neat next door. Jeff Smith and Michael Caine are together on row 9. Then Martin Byford in the Golf, Nick Foster in his BMW, Dave Newsham in his Seat, Rob Austin. But there are two Audis on the grid today. John George and Liam Griffin are on row 12. Tony Gillum in the BMW, Lee Wood in the Honda. There is the second Audi. It's on row 14 in the hands of another debutant. It's Chris Swanwick, the 17-year-old from Nottingham. Tony Hughes is next to him, and Chris James brings up the rear. Car lost a wheel yesterday. The studs sheared, and I did see the team. They said, nope, the wheel was done up. We're sure it was done up, but for some reason the hub studs sheared when he was out on circuit, so that was disappointing for Chris James. Now then, Paul O'Neill has qualified in 8th place for this race. It was a bit of an interrupted qualifying session yesterday with plenty of red flags. I think he's hopeful of more. Let's see if we can grab a quick word with him. Paul, it's Ben in the com box here. You qualified in 8th place, but I think you felt a little disappointed with that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Unfortunately, we just didn't get a quite good clear run with the red flags, but, you know, same for everyone. We were practicing third, so we're hoping for better in the race. Car was very, very nervous. We've made some changes, and we're hoping for the best now. I think we're in good shape.
Do these weather conditions suit you well?
I think so. Fantastic. I think well, and we're just hoping we can look after our front tyres and let the turbos destroy theirs, but let's wait and see what happens, eh?
Yeah, we'll have a good race. So Paul O'Neill in the Chevy, just losing him a little bit through the trees, so sorry about the break-up, but it's obviously a bit of an interruption in the signal over there.
Yeah, interesting. We saw his car and we saw Plato's car in qualifying, both Chevys, but Paul O'Neill's car really did look tricky and nervous to drive, whereas Jason's car looked planted. But Paul's already given us the signals of things to look at in this race. Will the turbo cars wear their front tyres out too much? Will that help the normally aspirated Chevrolets and BMWs? Will the BMW's better tyre life help them come to the front later in the race? Those are the things we need to look out for. Jason Plato's only got one agenda: get off this line well and get away.
Yeah, and also don't feel that we've got a bit of a traffic jam coming down from out of Stirling's down towards the last corner.
That's the problem when you've got 29 cars, isn't it? It's
a fantastic grid. It matches the record number of cars on the grid in the 2-litre era of touring car. It's a real achievement. 29 cars are going to be spreading themselves out and fighting for position here around the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit on the most idyllic of days.
It's probably just as well we're not on the Indy circuit with 29 cars. I don't think we'd know where to look.
Totally right. So just a quick reminder on the points you're seeing there. Of course, a tie at the top between Gordon Shedden and Matt Neal, but Jason Plato scored the point for pole yesterday. There's Andrew Jordan, who should be starting on the front row. Oh, I can't feel for him enough. This is horrible for him to watch the start of the race not being able to...
And no work going on the car, so he's clearly not going to get out.
That's really rough for him. Last car moving into place, that's Chris James in the Chevrolet Lacetti, and it looks as though everybody else, apart from Andrew Jordan, is safely on the grid. So it's 28 cars, of course, that will take the start. And we are all set then for the first race of the day here at Brands Hatch in high temperatures. Jason Plato going from pole position, away he goes in the Chevrolet. An excellent start from him. Nash not very fast away, and Alex McDowell is straight into second. But watch the two Hondas. Matt Neal up to third already, but Gordon Shedden has got boxed in.
Yeah, Gordon Shedden got boxed in by the slow start on the inside by Nash, and Neal was able to go round and at least pick up some places, get in front of Nash, get behind the two Chevys.
Yeah, so Gordon Shedden sees some of those points disappearing as a couple of cars are wide on the exit of Druids, but the lead for Jason Plato. McDowell in second, Neal in third, Nash is fourth, Matt Jackson in the Airways Ford is in fifth place, so he's got away well. Then it's Shedden, then it's Paul O'Neill, and as they all charge around into Surtees and up the hill onto the Grand Prix loop, so far so good. Nobody's been left behind except for Andrew Jordan, who didn't get to start.
Matt Jackson, another one to gain from getting around the outside on the start line, and incredibly all the cars through the Indy circuit without losing one car. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's pretty remarkable, but it's Plato who leads this race. Look how close his teammate is. Remember, Plato is carrying a bit of ballast, unlike Alex McDowell, who's got a ballast-free car. So Plato here up front. Second is Alex McDowell. Can't imagine McDowell's really going to go on the attack, though.
Well, the thing is, he will put Plato under pressure, because if Jason makes a mistake, run wide somewhere, there's nothing to stop McDowell going through and winning this race. Remember, he may drive for the team, but he's not won a race this year. Would love to get his name on that list, so I think he's going to keep the pressure on. Obviously, he wants to pull away from Matt Neal, but I don't see Jason making a mistake, in all honesty.
No, so the two Chevys come across the line at the end of the first lap. It's Plato leading from McDowell in second place. Matt Neal is third, James Nash in fourth. You're looking back from the race leader down the dip of Paddock Hill Bend, climbing back up the hill towards the hairpin at Druids. Thousands of people on all sides of the track here today. A fantastic crowd entertaining dice already, opening up between Plato and McDowell, with Matt Neal in third, then it's Nash, then Jackson. Shedden hasn't been able to make any ground after that boxed-in start that he had to suffer, so Shedden sits in sixth place. Paul O'Neill is seventh. Then the first of the Fords, and there's Tom Borman trying to get down the inside of Rob Collard into Surtees, side by side, and I think he's made the move.
Yeah, very good move, and Michael Caine's gone off, his second meeting in the Airwaves data tag team, and he's gone off already.
So Borman up to 10th place there, just getting out of Collard, and Collard's lost a couple more. He's lost one, let's just take a look. Yeah, he's lost one to Rathel, by the looks of it, or has he? No, Welsh has definitely got past him though in the Proton.
Yeah, the Welsh have been going well this meeting and using the power of that turbocharged NTTC engine to blast past Collard, who was pushed wide by Boardman at the previous corner.
Yeah, that's right. So Dan Welsh really right in behind the Seat of Tom Boardman. Welsh, of course, joining in the championship later with that Proton, the number 42 car, but really getting to grips with it now. Collard behind them. Then it's Frank Rathel, the star of the last couple of events. Andy Neate follows, and the rest of them through. Nick Foster's in that group as well, as the leader, Jason Plato, is heading around onto the main straight once again. Plato leading by only a few tenths of a second from teammate Alex McDowell, and Matt Neal is keeping those Chevys in sight at the moment, no doubt about it.
Yeah, he's definitely keeping them honest, but obviously it's early days yet, and the tyres are at their best at the moment. Whether Matt Neal will be able to maintain that proximity to the two Chevys later in the race, I don't know, but certainly a good start, and Matt Neal will be fairly happy with his position at the moment in the race.
You're on board with Matt Neal then, behind the two normally aspirated Chevys. Matt is the first of the turbocharged cars, of course, in the Honda, which has been so superb throughout the season on all the different circuits we've been to. He's holding on to third, but not quite able to get on the boot lid of Alex McDowell just up ahead there. Plato's gap just under half a second over his teammate as they crossed the line last time. Nash is still behind in the Vauxhall, the black and silver Vauxhall, race winner last time out. Then it's Matt Jackson in the Airwaves car, then it's Gordon Shedden.
Yeah, it's a great little battle. This will go all the way down the line as Daniel Welch comes through, still with Collard and Rathel behind. And I have to say, those NGTC cars with their big arches, they do look good. And further news this weekend that a lot more teams are looking at building NGTC cars for next year, including potentially AAA, RML, and also the Pertec team. So we could see a lot of front-running teams, all with those NGTC cars next year, as Rathel looks to the inside.
Yeah, Rathel almost getting past Collard. That's the battle for 12th, and you would expect both cars to be strong in the latter stages of the race. Collard will be kicking himself that he's lost a bit of ground, but he won't be giving up yet, Collard. He's always a fighter anyway, and he knows that the rear-wheel drive BMW could well come into its own in the closing stages in these high temperatures, but at the moment he's got to keep focused on keeping Rathel behind him. Yeah, for the victory at Rockingham, and he's got the inside line. Collard was a little bit wide, and no problem at all for Frank Rathel. So Collard is still struggling a little bit in these early stages. The question is, will the car get stronger as we go through? But we did see the NGTC cars, which run a slightly bigger tyre size, seem to hold the grip levels quite well at Rockingham.
Yeah, absolutely. Rockingham, the hardest circuit on tyres, and the NGTC cars with their slightly wider tyres stayed better for longer. So Rathel could be another one to take advantage later in the race.
Paul O'Neill just bouncing his way through Westfield. Talk about the challenge of this track, Tim. It is such a wonderful circuit. The drivers all love it.
Oh, it's so fast and flowing, but one in driver not enjoying it, Jeff Smith, who looks like he's retiring his Spectre into the pits. But yeah, it's a traditional fast-flowing circuit, hasn't been changed much in all the years. Coming here into clearways, braking over the blind crest as the car drops away, and you pick up the power, drifting right out to the edge of the track. It's just a beautiful circuit. Requires technique, requires rhythm, requires momentum. And approaching now the legendary Paddock Hill Bend. You can't believe how steep this is until you actually get out and walk it. But the road drops away there. Look, there's no runoff there really. You can put two wheels over there, but no more. Up to Druid, slow the car down, hold it in tight, get the power down early, and get the car off the corner as straight as possible. Graham Hill, a corner that has been reshaped many years ago, used to be a fast left, it's now a technical corner that promotes more overtaking into the next bend now, which is Surtees. There's a good opportunity to pass up the inside here. And then you're out into the fast-flowing section, out onto the long run down toward the Hawthorns. The Hawthorns, Westfield, Dingledale, Sheen Curve section that coming up to now is really where the drivers earn their mettle. Coming down here, 135 miles an hour, down one gear, into the corner, hard on power, little bump just on the apex that throws the cars out, and then approaching Westfield. Need to turn in, cover that curb on the inside. Look at Shedden right up the back of Matt Jackson, carrying momentum. Not easy to pass into the next corner, Sheen, but you do have to turn in way before you see the corner. Let the car run out wide, and then the next corner, Sterling, a lovely corner, lots of camber. Turn in early, let the camber hold the car in, and there's a lap of the circuit.
Well done, no, that was great, thanks Tim. And also in these conditions it looks fabulous, and also provides great spectating, because you can see a great part of the Indy circuit. Look at the view of Jackson's car. Now, are the tyres beginning to get that bit warmer? The car's just moving around a little bit more. Jackson's trying hard. Remember, Jackson's not scored any points, has he, in the last 6 races, the last 2 events? No points at all. He's desperate to score well this weekend.
Yeah, championship leader going into Knockhill, and then no finishes or no points in 6. Onso Cole, a couple of cars back.
Yeah, trying to close up that gap. Jackson run a little bit wide out of Druids, but there wasn't room for Shedden. Good test this for Shedden. He's got to keep his head cool, but he knows that his big rivals are up ahead. His teammate Matt Neal is running in 3rd place. He's going to be losing valuable points in the championship, but he's also got to keep his head. He cannot make a risky manoeuvre at this stage.
No, but there's an air of a little bit of an air of aggression about Shedden's car. He's moving about all over the back of Jackson's car. It looks like he really wants to try and find a way past.
Yeah, just caught a glimpse of Ollie Jackson, by the way, making his debut this weekend, running down in 18th place in the 2nd of the AAA Vauxhalls. But let's focus on his teammate further up. He's in 4th place, is James Nash. In the front of this group, you're watching 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th. And in 8th place at the moment is the first of the Fords, Tom Onslow Cole, in the Team Aon car. And you can see he's really caught the back now of Paul O'Neill. Chevy's come through clearways, chased by Neal. Then this battle for 4th, with Matt Jackson only just fending off Gordon Shedden.
Before the end of this race, certainly. Don't forget the teams have done a little bit of race preparation running in these sort of temperatures on Friday morning. They all ran some race distances to see how the tyres stood up, so they should have a good setup.
Also, what's key here is that James Nash, who's at the front of... Oh! Shedden's lost it! Oh no, he's got it back maybe! can get back on here. But Gordon Shedden, a great save, but he's lost a lot of places. He's down to 9th place as past him goes Tom Chilton. Tom Bourman will be behind him, but what a moment in the championship, Tim, to make a mistake like that.
Yeah, he put his right wheel on the grass coming down the hill, turning into Graham Hill Bend. It's a common mistake because your eye line is looking into the corner to your left. Watch this. He comes down, watch his right rear. He turns it just on the dirt there, on the curb, and that sends the car. It's an easy mistake to mistake because you're looking to the left into the corner, and we've seen it many times. You've just missed the edge of the road, and great car control on the throttle, holding the car from spinning.
Yeah, I've seen that here from Shedden before when he was leading on the Grand Prix circuit. He had a massive slide and save at Clearways back in 2010, but that one was slightly different, and he will be kicking himself because, as you say, it was just a tiny error of judgment, but he's lost such valuable places here, and what a crucial stage of the championship. Here we are at the penultimate event of the Spy on the second grid from where you finished this one, so losing those places will hurt him doubly because it will put him back on the grid for race 2.
Yeah, but what will happen obviously is the top 5 cars will all get success ballast in their finishing order, and he'll have a light car, so although this race isn't finished yet, he could make a...
Proton with the front wheel flapping. It doesn't look as though he's hit anything.
No, that looks like a broken steering arm, because there's no puncture there, there's no damage on the bodywork, so looks like the steering arm has failed, and he's trying to get that back in the pit so they can have as much time as possible to fix it.
A great shame for Dan Welsh with the Proton, but still, as we know, in early days of development with that car. You're seeing in the pits also Martin Byford with the Golf, so a couple of people getting into trouble here today. I do wonder if, well, there's certainly the steering breakage that it looked like on the Proton. That's just a mechanical issue, but I wonder if the high temperatures might have an effect on some aspects of the cars as we go through today. We are about halfway through this first race. 7 laps have been completed. We're on lap 8 now. Plato still leads. Just to remind you, it's a Chevy 1-2 at the moment. Plato leads by 7/10 last time around, probably less now from his teammates in the other Silverline car. That's Alex McDowell, but Matt Neal is still staying with them reasonably well. He's dropped back about a second or so behind these top 2.
Yeah, and he will know that Gordon Shedden has had a problem as well, because he'll have been told by the team. So I think Matt will be fairly comfortable to sit in this position, strengthen his championship points over main rival Shedden, although Plato's outscoring him. But of course, safe in the knowledge that Plato in front and McDowell in second will get success ballast for this race. And a new fastest lap was set by Jason Plato on lap 3.
We gather Jeff Smith's problem was a broken gear lever, which we have come across before, but that's pretty unusual.
It is in the Vectras because they're built very strong, and the cars have been around for quite a long time.
So up the backstretch to go the 2 Chevys. Plato followed by McDowell. McDowell looking at another second place finish. He's never had a win in British touring cars, but he's certainly shadowing his teammate effectively. Neal in third. Nash is still in 4th place behind this group. McDowell driving very nicely here, Tim. I mean, second season of British touring cars, we've seen some real polish from him on occasions. Very capable of fast laps, and he's had to race hard this year because of the difference between normally aspirated and turbo cars.
Yeah, and unfortunately it caught him out with quite a few incidents at the start of the year, which was a shame because he is very, very talented. And but what he's trying to do is become the polished article that, say, Jason Plato is, because he's had the same machinery all year. And as you say, flashes of real speed and brilliance, but the difference between someone like that and Jason is Jason does it all of the time. All of the time he gets the most out of the car, and Alex is learning to be able to do the same. He couldn't have a better teacher.
No, that's right. Jason Plato, he's finished in the top 5 in the championship every year that he's done British touring cars, right from his first season. I think now in something like his 13th year. He's won more races, of course, than anybody else in British touring car history.
I think this group could close up significantly towards the end of the race, and Shedden could pick up some more places.
Yeah, well, he needs to, doesn't he? Because he must be feeling it a bit. There he is in the number 52 car, the Honda Racing teammate to Matt Neal, who joint points leader coming into this race and has driven so superbly throughout the year, but that one little slip is going to be expensive in terms of points. As you say, though, he is now right on the boot lid of Tom Chilton. Not going to be on. What's going on? Matt Neal's in trouble. He's just been passed by the guy.
It's a left front puncher.
My goodness, it's all changed again. Matt Neal throwing right down through the back. There's his teammate Gordon Shedden who'll go past, and suddenly the complexion of this championship changes again.
This circuit is hard on front tyres. We said that it might be the first of many punctures, but I'm sure the team did a race run in Friday, so they'll be really surprised to have got that puncture. But it's catastrophic for Max in the championship. Now Shedden, suddenly his championship looks stronger again.
And I'll tell you what, Plato is suddenly looking at being right with Shedden in the points, and Matt Neal dropping back a little bit, so it's really opening things up into a three-way tussle for the remainder part of this championship if it stays like it is now. And Gordon Shedden comes across the line then. He's now in 8th place. He's behind Tom Chilton still, but he has seen his teammate in trouble. There's Lee Wood, who's got a problem as well. He's pulled off to the side, and we're seeing lots of cars in trouble here today.
Yeah, Matt Neal coming in for a pit stop. Just extreme frustration. It is a track that the drivers have to be a little careful of curbs when the pressures are low, and of course the pressures are starting. Oh, that's Newsham's car that's obviously had a little flare up.
Yeah, so more problems all around the circuit. The front left being changed. Of course, it's got 5 wheel nuts on this spec of car, so it takes a little bit of time. I wonder how Matt is fit. Well, you know, he's got to be gutted. As you say, you have to watch the curves a little bit in the early stages, but it can be unpredictable. Remember, Andrew Jordan had a couple of punches earlier this year at Brands on the Indy circuit. And sometimes it can be just how you set the car up. Temperatures, of course, do have a bearing, but they will have factored that in.
Yeah, I mean, the things that have a bearing on it are how much can be run on the front, but the team should know how much they could run after race testing on Friday. The starting pressures of the tyres, because it's hot, the tyres are expected to come up a lot, so the tyres will start relatively low, and then if you hit a curb at an unfortunate angle while the tyre's at low pressure, you could put a failure point into the tyre, and I suspect that's what's happened. It may even have happened to that tyre in a qualifying run yesterday, but these are all the little factors that play into it as Shedden attacks Chilton.
Yeah, he's trying to get past that Ford, isn't he? Gordon Shedden now really putting Tom Chilton under pressure as they come down onto the start-finish straight, but Chilton's able to just shut in front of him, so the Ford stays ahead for the moment. That is the battle for 7th place now. We're on lap 12 out of 15, and the seesaw of this series title still keeps swinging because Matt Neal into the pits. He is back on his way once again, but of course has dropped right down to the back of the field. And now that we have such a big field of cars, 28 cars, and there's a change. Onslow Cole getting past O'Neill, so Tom Onslow Cole in the Ford. Has he got past him?
Well, they're still side by side, aren't they, as they turn in Sterling's, but I'm sure Onslow Cole's got the right line here. Paul's fighting it out on the outside, but he won't have the power to compete down the straight. Onslow Cole's passed.
Yeah, so good effort that from Tom Onslow Cole. He's managed to move up into 5th place now. Shedden still trying to get past Chilton in the background as the Ford and the Honda go hard at it. Behind them, Boardman is in 9th place, Collard is 10th, Rathall 11th, then Andy Neat, then Nick Foster, Ollie Jackson and Rob Austin. That's how the top 15 look at this stage in the race. Remember, Plato still continues to lead. Plato himself had a puncture earlier this year. I think it was Donington, wasn't it, when he suffered a puncture.
And a couple obviously as well. But
so it can happen to both turbo and normally aspirated cars.
Absolutely. As I said, there's 3 sort of factors in it. It's not wear on the tyre. There's nothing wrong with the tyres. The tyres are fantastic. It's just those combination of events of camber, tyre pressure and curb hitting.
So whatever it was for Matt Neal, it certainly has made a big difference. Plato's opened up a little bit more of a gap over McDowell on that last lap. Still Gordon Shedden can't find a way past Tom Chilton. Chilton crosses the line in 7th. Shedden is in 8th place, and on the last lap comparison Chilton had the edge just by a couple of tenths of a second. But we are getting into the closing stages of this race. If anyone's going to really suffer with front tyre wear in these high temperatures, now's the time you're going to see it. And look how Collard is beginning to make his presence felt as he tries to get past Tom Boardman. Yeah,
but now that the BMW's coming strong, he didn't get the benefit of a safety car to close that gap up to the cars in front, but you can see his car's clearly very strong and lapping quicker than the cars in front of him now.
Yeah, but he's only got a few laps to go, so he's got to really get on with it here. Collard gets a great exit out of Surtees, that rear-wheel drive BMW driving itself up the hill and then down the drop on the other side. Can he get close enough? I don't think he will, up towards Hawthorns. That's the difficulty here. There's only really a single line through these fast corners. Very difficult to overtake. I guess he might try and set himself up for the left-hander at Stirling's.
Yeah, you're trying to get the guy, push the guy into looking in his mirrors too much, making a little error of judgment, a bit like the one Shedden made when he positioned the car wrongly. You're just trying to push for a mistake. You can't just drive past on the same line because they're all going too quick and too close on the same line, but certainly can push the guy into a mistake.
not close enough into Sterling's that time, but he gets out of the corner very quickly, moves right out to the outside of the road for the turn into Clearways, just up ahead. Shedden up ahead of them is still behind Chilton. Now look how aggressive from his teammate Alex McDowell. Matt Jackson is now in third place ahead of Nash. Now that's interesting because that is a change that we didn't see. Matt Jackson getting ahead of Nash, and it's a critical one because they're battling for independent points, not just podiums. Look at this, they're catching Shedden, and Shedden's in trouble as well. Shedden is
another
in trouble.
puncher.
Oh,
Left front again.
Both Hondas have suffered here at Brands Hatch, the championship leaders.
Well, that implies that it's set up then. It implies too much camber on the front, too aggressive a setup of Rathel and Collard.
Oh, and Rathel being pretty firm. You said at Rockingham he might have been a bit. Oh no, he's lost in a worse
No, he's
field.
broken. The left rear track control arm's broken. He had a little touch with Collard, and if you look at the angle of the back wheel, he just had a little touch and it broke the track control arm.
Good spot, well done. But another car off of the sidelines, and what a shame because that was shaping up as a great little tussle. But what about this, Tim? Why both Hondas out?
I'll tell you why. Because Plato was faster than them in practice and in qualifying, they've gone for the fastest possible car they can. So they've got too much camber potentially on the front, too aggressive a setup, and they puncture the top. Where's McDowell?
Jackson's gone into second place. Matt Jackson has come up to second. I just noticed in the background, I think McDowell's still there in third, but is he dropping back? No, he's still in third, and he's holding third at the moment. I don't know what happened, whether he got held up when Shedden got back or what, but what a race this is turning into for Matt Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson back to the best form at the home race for Motorbase, only a mile and a half up the road, and Matt Jackson back to what he should have been doing really the last 6 races. So complete drama in the last half as we're on the final lap now. Both the Hondas self-destructed really in this race in chasing Jason Plato's pure speed, and Plato is the beneficiary of this massively.
This really has put the cat amongst the pigeons as the championship goes, because Plato is heading for maximum points. He also set the fastest lap, so he gets an extra bonus. He's led lap, so you get the bonus for that. He's heading for the maximum you can get from one race, which is 18 points if you include pole position. So this is really going to boost his chances. Neither Hondas, remember he was 24 points behind the Hondas coming into this race. He's going to score 18, and neither Honda's going to score. Jackson is going to score quite well.
And Boardman's pulled off as well. He was in 8th place, so Boardman's pulled off as well, possibly with a puncture.
Here comes Plato. The checkered flag awaits, and it is his 67th career win number 7 of 2011, and very significantly, the Hondas have not scored points here. Matt Jackson gets an excellent second place. He had to work for that, but whatever happened to McDowell, I don't know. McDowell still ends up with a podium finish there with third, but in the Independence Championship, that is very significant because Jackson has finished ahead of Nash. Nash had the edge and has a bit of a points lead, but he didn't want to finish behind him. Well, Tim, this is really making things come alive now, isn't it?
Well, I just can't imagine what the atmosphere is going to be like down in the pit lane. Pure joy in the Chevrolet camp, undoubtedly pure joy, but just utter desperation in the Honda camp. And you know, it's not over till it's over, but that's been a significant change. That has now, I said don't write Plato off, and you know, he's right back there now where he wants to be. He's got every chance now to carry on doing what he's doing, and you know, it's a three-way scrap again.
Well, there are some Plato fans down on the fence, and they are very, very happy about what their man has just done, because he has taken his third win at Brands Hatch this year. We've had the meeting earlier this year. He took 2 wins, and I have to say he's obviously best placed to take another double victory here on the Grand Prix circuit.
Yeah, and the point is that Honda could not afford to set their cars up conservatively.
Yeah.
They just didn't have enough pure speed in the car. With the boost restrictions they've had, the additional weight they've been put in the car, they couldn't protect their points lead and have a comfortable setup.
Let's just see some of the action from that race, Tim. I think we can find out what happened to
Boardman.
Boardman
with a left front puncture, struggling to stop the car, and he's gone off. He's already got a puncture. That's what the problem was. Yeah.
So another puncture to add to the tally that we've seen. And this was the incident where, as you mentioned, the rear suspension got broken on Rathel's car, and that allowed Chilton, to go past Collard. So Collard did finish 8th in the end. Andy Neate was 9th, and Foster was 10th. This was when Shedden dropped back. and the puncture on that left front, and everyone really was jostling for position behind, weren't they?
Yeah, I just wondered whether there was going to be a touch there with Boardman or something, but we didn't see anything that might have caused a puncture, so we probably just put it down to the same issues that affected the Honda.
And Matt Neal and Gordon Shedden, by the way, are classified 18th and 19th, and absolutely no points to them. They didn't get fastest lap. Plato got fastest lap, so he's taken the maximum score possible from this race, and they have taken absolutely zero. Well, what a start to the day we've seen here at Brands Hatch, and I can expect we'll be in for more dramas as we go through races 2 and 3. Lots to look forward to. So,
well, it was Jason Plato screaming about parity before. I guess it would be the Hondas now.
So the result, Jason Plato takes victory by 2.1 seconds in the end over Matt Jackson in the Airways car, and Alex McDowell finished third. James Nash fourth, ahead of Tom Onslow-Cole, who worked hard to move up the order. Paul O'Neill was sixth, Tom Chilton seventh, Collard in the BMW was eighth, then Andy Neate and Nick Foster both in the points. Out of the points though, and only just Ollie Jackson on his debut. Michael Caine moved up from 18th to finish 12th. Rob Austin also moved up the order. John George, Tony Gillam, Liam Griffin behind, and Chris Swanwick finished on his debut in the other Audi A4. But look at where Matt Neal and Gordon Shedden finished, all the way down in 18th and 19th places, only ahead of Chris James. And there you have the final either finishers or non-finishers, and we saw quite a lot of non-finishers there, all sorts of issues. And remember, of course, Andrew Jordan didn't even get to start. So what has that meant in terms of the championship table? Well, it has changed things quite considerably because, of course, remember, Shedden and Neal were tied at the top. Well, they're still tied at the top, but look how close Plato is now. Only 6 points behind them. Matt Jackson is a little further back, but if he carries on like this, he could still make it a four-way tussle for the title, and Jackson will have closed on Nash in the Independents because the Independents scores differently, although it looks 4th and 5th there. In the Independents Championship, Nash will still be leading, but Matt Jackson will be a little closer. So it really has come alive, this title now. After a 24-point gap going into that, we now have a gap of just 6 points.
Welcome back to Brands Hatch, where the big boys are back out on track. It's time for our second touring car race of the day, so let's rejoin Tim Harvey and Ben Edwards.
Jason Plato leads them away on the formation lap, so not much need to build up heat in the tyres on this glorious sunny day at Brands Hatch in preparation for this second race as Matt Jackson follows through. Let's take a look at how they line up on the grid then. It is Plato on pole, looking for 2 out of 2 once again. Matt Jackson alongside him, Alex McDowell in the second Silverline Chevrolet, then James Nash, followed by Tom Onslow-Cole in the Team Aon Ford and Paul O'Neill in the Go Mobile Chevy. Row 4, Tom Chilton and Rob Collard, then Andy Neate and Nick Foster, Ford versus BMW. Ollie Jackson looking for points for the first time, maybe, from row 6, Michael Caine next door, then Rob Austin and John George. Tony Gillam and Liam Griffin on row 8, then it's the youngster Chris Swanwick, and look who is back on row 9, yep, it's Matt Neal, and one place behind him is his teammate Gordon Shedden, so that's the work they have to do. Chris James is next to him, Tony Hughes and Martin Byford in the Golf up on row 11, row 12 Tom Boardman and Frank Raffle, and then as we get towards the back it's Lee Wood, Dave Nugent, Dan Welsh, Jeff Smith, and of course the man who missed out at the start of the first race, Andrew Jordan. So cars making their way around at the moment. Let's see if we can grab a very quick word with Gordon Shedden, one of those to suffer a puncture in the first race. Gordon, it's Ben in the com box. We all sympathise with what happened in race 1. Have you made any changes to the cars for this second race?
Yeah, I mean, a bit of absolute disaster in race 1, but you know, we've made a few changes. The problem is the car was in race 1, so you know, we've made changes, but just hopefully it's enough.
Well, you came from 22nd to 6th on the Indy circuit earlier this year, so you need another one of those today.
Yeah, I could really do with something like that, that's absolutely sure.
Okay, well, we wish you luck.
Yeah, nice thing for Gordon and for Matt, if you can call it a nice thing, is they're not right at the back because of problems for other cars. They're 18th and 19th, and of course they're looking to get solidly inside the top 10 to give themselves a chance of the reverse grid, and they'll still be carrying no weight. So it's not over till it's over, and I suspect we're going to see a great race from the two of them, and they will be well inside that top 10.
Yeah, as you say, no ballast on board the two Hondas as a result of not finishing in the top 6 in the first race, so that's got to help them, give them a bit of extra speed. Also, maybe a little pressure off the front tyres. The lighter the car, the better for the front tyre wear, I suppose. And of course, they'll be have set the cars up just maybe a little bit safer. So let's just follow them around. They're coming down towards clearways. They'll be lining up on the grid any moment now. Who else do we need to watch out for, Tim? I mean, Jason Plato looked so dominant earlier. He is carrying a bit more weight, but you wouldn't really bet against him, would you?
Not really. I mean, Matt Jackson obviously went very well in that first race, and we'll see how his car goes. There's no really... Rob Collard is a little bit further back. He's on the 4th row on the outside starting. He could get amongst them if he makes a good start. And but, you know, we'll just have to see how Plato's car carries that little bit extra weight.
We both noted how well behaved they were on the opening lap of the first race today. We haven't had anyone in the gravel at Druids or anything
Well,
yet.
that's the kiss of death now, isn't it? And I was surprised to see nobody off at Paddock or Druids on the first lap, or even Graham Hill, where the cars close up, bunch up. But yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed for some good, clean racing, at least at the start. We don't lose anybody unnecessarily, because we want to see great scrapping out of this fantastic grid of cars on this fantastic circuit on a brilliant day.
Yeah, superb. I think all 29 are out this time. We're missing one at the start of the first race of the day, but I think we've got all 29 cars lining up this time.
Yeah, we can have a nice chat. It takes them so long to line up. Andrew Jordan back on the grid. That electrical problem solved fairly simply in the car. So he's back on the grid. Lee Wood back on the grid. That was an electrical issue as well. A coil pack went down, so full grid.
So every car is in position. Jason Plato starts up front. We have a green flag from the back. And the cars are all set for round 26 of the championship to get underway. The engine revs rise. Who's it going to be? And Plato gets away well, but Matt Jackson's very good, goes with him. And it's a good start from Tom Onslow. Cole behind in the Team A on Ford, but McDowell just getting in front of O'Neill. Watch the Team A on Ford of Onslow. Cole, can he go around the outside at Paddock? Not quite. He slots into 4th place.
Yeah, one of the BMWs, I think, with a bumper hanging off at the back, but great start at the front. Certainly Plato and Jackson got a really good start. I'll tell you who did get a brilliant start, and that was, the bumper's come off, that's good. It was Paul O'Neill, but he had to duck out to it. He was looking up the inside of McDowell, but was being forced into the pit lane Armco, so he had to really duck out of that.
Yeah, and everybody, I think, has got through Druids again this time, and through Graham Hill Bend. It's Jason Plato who leads. You see Andrew Jordan at the back of the field trying to make up some ground very early on. So Plato leads. You've got the Airwaves Ford of Matt Jackson in second. Alex McDowell in another Chevy is running in third, but under pressure from the Team A on Ford of Tom Onslow Cole. Then it's Paul O'Neill and James Nash in the black Vauxhall. There's the damage to the back of Collard's BMW, the bumper trailing away there, and he might lose a place to Chilton, I think, up the inside. Matt Neal also making progress straight away there, Tim.
Yeah, but that bounce across the curb won't have done his tyres any good, will it? But they are completely on a charge, those two Hondas.
Yeah, we'll see where they are at the end of the first lap. At the intermediates, though, you can see Nash is currently running 6th, Collard in 9th place. We've got Ollie Jackson just going through in the middle of the pack with the black Vauxhall with the yellow stripes on it in his debut weekend, of course, in that Triple Eight Vauxhall as Collard comes through clearways with the bumper dangling. Let's see what the positions are like as they cross the line then. And Tom Onslow Cole definitely putting a bit of pressure on for that 3rd place on McDowell. We're on board with Matt Neal. He's in 10th place, so he's made a lot of ground. And Shedden is in 12th place already.
Yeah, so 8 places gained by Matt Neal. Brilliant first lap from him. Very aggressive, very charging. We wouldn't expect anything less than the former 2-time champion.
That's right, so he's on his way. But Plato is the man who leads this race in the Chevrolet with Matt Jackson in 2nd place. Keep an eye on those Hondas. How much more progress can they make? You can see Matt Neal in the background there, coming along the Cooper Straight down towards Surtees. Well, you've got both Neal and Shedden. And Shedden, in fact, was about to make a move on Foster. Didn't quite make the move. Now, these two had contact at Rockingham. I know Shedden wasn't very happy, but it was just an incident on the second infield corner. Now it's Shedden's turn to try and get past Foster.
Yeah, he was very upset with Foster and Rockingham, accusing him of just recklessly driving into the side of him, breaking the rear suspension. But it's up to Gordon now to show us how to get past clean. He's certainly got a good run out of Hawthorns, and he's going to dive up the inside into Westfield. Good move.
Yeah, that was clean and very decisive from Gordon Shedden. So the Scot finds his way past the BMW. Matt Neal has got past Collard. So that puts Neal up into 9th place. He's in that top 10 already, and that's impressive. We're only on the 2nd lap here.
Yeah, he actually needs to get up to 6 to guarantee himself a reverse grid front spot. Look, it says Jordan coming through. Remember, he did start at the back. Oh, and Welch, side by side.
Yeah, that was all a bit exciting, wasn't it? Jordan still trying to pick up some places, but work to do. Plato leads. Jackson Onslow Cole now in third place ahead of McDowell. O'Neill, Nash and Chilton follow through. Andy Neat's going really well. It was Andy Neat we saw earlier actually. So Andy Neat is running in 8th place, Neil in 9th as they cross the line. Collard is in 10th and Shedden 11th as they went over the line. Plato is beginning to open up the advantage up front. Despite carrying the maximum ballast, that Chevy is flying once again.
Well, it was the fastest car in qualifying by quite a margin, so he has a little bit of leeway, if you like, to add some extra weight and still be quick. But it's early days, the track is even hotter than it was in the first race, so let's see how tyre wear plays into this.
Yeah, Matt Jackson just controlling things in second place. You've got the two Fords just going through, Chilton and Andy Neat. They're running absolutely together, and Andy will be very pleased to be keeping his teammate under such pressure in the early stages of this race. Tom Boardman going through in 14th place. He's behind Michael Caine in another of the Airwaves cars. Michael got his feet caught somehow in the pedal box in the first race.
Yeah, it was actually his laces. He's got some of these sort of wide boy racing boots with long laces, and it got caught him out, got caught behind the pedal. And that's what pushed him off at Graham Hill. It can only happen to Michael Caine.
Well, he's still finished reasonably well, and now he's trying to work his way up the order, but he's in 13th behind Nick Foster in a BMW. But you're looking on board from Shedden's point of view, and he's going to have a go at getting past Collard as they come down into clearways. Oh, he's not quite there, but Collard gives him space, and there's room to work with, and Shedden should get the place here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Collard gave him space or there was just the tiniest of touches as Collard was turning in, but Shedden through, and that's put him into 10th place.
So the Hondas are in the points, but as you say, they really want to get in the top 6 to guarantee they're still going to be in good shape for race 3. Remember, anything between 6 and 10 cars will be reversed on the grid later on, so it's important to keep making progress here. Looking back now from Shem at Rob Collard. Collard with the rear-wheel drive BMW has his teammate Nick Foster behind. Michael Caine still pushing hard. Collard a little bit wide there. You're allowed to do that a few times, but then you'll get a warning flag.
Well, you're allowed to do it twice, and then you get a warning flag, and if you persist in doing it, you will get a drive-through penalty.
Now, Tom Onslow Cole's running in a solid third place in the first of the Team Aon Fords, but behind him he's got McDowell, then Paul O'Neill, then James Nash, and then these two Team Aon teammates, Tom Chilton and Andy Neat, both running pretty confidently at the moment. In terms of the independents, by the way, Matt Jackson is top independent in the race. He's running in second place overall, of course, battling with James Nash in the independents, but Nash is a few places behind him because he's got Onslow Cole and O'Neill between him and Jackson, so that has an effect on the independence points as well, as you watch Chilton and Andy Neat. Neat's doing a good job here.
Yeah, I mean, Andy Neat's been really spectacular on occasions, and hanging on to the coattails of his young touring car race winning teammate is quite something.
But look who's catching them. Matt Neal is at the back of that group, and he is definitely getting a little bit closer now. So Matt Neal in the Honda trying to get more on terms with those two Fords, and Shedden is behind Neal. We'll try and keep an eye on those lap times. How quick are the Hondas going at the moment?
Well, they're going a couple of tenths, 2 or 3 tenths quicker than the cars in front, so you know, it's no surprise he is catching them. Obviously no weight on that car, and a very good car anyway.
On board Matt Neal here, so he is closing the gap between himself and the Fords. It's Andy Neat who's his first target, and then Tom Chilton just up ahead. But the race settling down a little bit now. It gets harder and harder in a way to pick your way past, particularly as you move up. You're up against the quicker cars, of course. Through Surtees, Neat just pops over the curb. That's okay. Now this is where a bit of horsepower matters, because you're climbing uphill and then towards Hawthorns, up to about 140 miles an hour on the approach to Hawthorns, and it's only a little breathe really before going through the corner, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just you settle the car on the brakes. You don't stand it on its nose. You just try and scrub off a bit of speed, but keep your general momentum up as much as you possibly can. And through certainly through Hawthorns and through their Westfield, the Honda looks really quick.
Yeah, and he closed on Andy Neat, who almost seemed to get bottled up by Chilton fractionally, and now Andy Neat has got Matt Neal right with him. You're riding with Matt Neal as he tries to keep the pressure on the Ford just ahead. We're on that 5 out of 15, still early stages, but Matt Neal desperate to try and make up the ground after the disaster of that puncture in race 1. How close is he? Well, he's pretty close, but is that enough to attack into Paddock Bend? A great run out of clearways here for Matt Neal. Now, can he get alongside on the run down towards Paddock Hill Bend? He's not quite close enough there. It'll be about the cornering speed through Paddock and then maybe attacking to Druids.
Yeah, well, if anything, the Ford was... He must get up the inside here, surely. Yeah, he must get up the inside. The Ford was actually a little bit quicker down the straight, even than the Honda Honda with no ballast on it. So the Ford's not lacking horsepower, it's just lacking a little bit of handling, and that's where the Honda's catching it.
Yeah, and Andy Neate just a touch wide into paddock, but it looked to me as though he doesn't really want to get too embroiled in the championship battle, and once Matt Neal got the car alongside, he wasn't going to fight it too hard. So Shedden is in the background still trying to catch up, remember, but Matt Neal's got himself into 8th place. He now chases after Tom Chilton. Might be a tall order perhaps to get past Tom Chilton, we'll have to wait to see. James Nash just up ahead of them as well, but yellow flags in the final sector, so somebody's had a bit of a mishap, but I'm not quite sure what that's about. Plato continues to lead at the moment and has built up a 1.6 second advantage. He's taken fastest lap, which is another point, of course, in the championship.
Yeah, black and white warning flag for car 31, that's Chris Swanwick, so he's been exceeding presumably the circuit limits, and that's at Graham Hill Bend if you put 2 4 wheels off the track. Looking on board the RML Chevy team there, some anxious faces. Yeah, but at the moment Plato's doing them proud because he's built up this little advantage over Matt Jackson, who's still in 2nd place in the Airways car. He's chased by Tom Onslow Cole, then Plato's teammate, who's got a little pressure here from Paul O'Neill. Of course, they're both driving Chevrolets. The Go Mobile car, the second of the 2 Chevys, is now beginning to get that little bit closer to McDowell. This could be quite interesting now as O'Neill tries to inch ever closer. Of course, virtually identical cars, so it's all about a bit of expertise and skill. Yeah, Paul O'Neill very good on the brakes there, loses a little bit on the exit, but really committed on the way in, as we know Paul always is. But yeah, certainly gaining on McDowell on the braking areas.
We gather that Rob Collard has had to come in the pits to have the rear bumper section removed, so that's really ended his chances of a decent result here, and that's disappointing for the WSR man, but he's back out on circuit now. Plato still holding that 1.6 second advantage over Matt Jackson, Tom Onslow Cole. There's McDowell versus Paul O'Neill. The youngster McDowell getting the podium finish earlier on today, sensibly sort of didn't fight too hard when Matt Jackson came past. What was interesting, McDowell admitted he'd been a bit hard on the tyres in the early stages. I wonder if he's been a bit more cautious so that the tyres are going to survive the race distance a little better in this second race. And at the moment he's maintaining the gap to Paul O'Neill. His car still seems to hop a little bit more than McDowell's through Sheen Corner.
Yeah, it does. Doesn't look quite as planted, does it? But this whole group actually really all concertinaing up, very little in it between them on lap times, and I suspect there's, apart from Plato out front, there's quite a lot of positions could be fought over behind.
You know, Jason Plato has one of those few drivers, only 2 drivers, who've ever won all 3 races on the same day, and the last time he did it was on this Grand Prix circuit here at Brands Hatch. It would be a tall order, but right now he is totally dominating this second race.
Yeah. It is, and I would suspect it's going to be unlikely, because if the Hondas don't get into, the top sort of podium positions, they won't be carrying much weight into the last race, but they'll still be starting near the front. So it's not impossible, but it'll be hard to do.
One of the Fords has just run wide at Druids. I think it was the car of Andy Neate. We'll check that as it comes back past us. But I think Andy Neate, he ran wide coming out of Druids, and that's lost him a couple of places. So that's Shedden has now moved ahead of Neate as a result of that. So I think Gordon Shedden will be very grateful. And he just got a little bit out wide, I think.
Just outbraked himself into Druids. Very easy to do. It's a corner that sucks you in on the brakes. You want to be late into it because it's a slow corner, but easy to outbrake yourself. So Andy Neate's early run behind teammate Chilton. He's now slipped back, and that's often the difference in the drivers. It's who makes the least number of mistakes, because you can never recover that 100 yards lost. It's gone.
That's right. And Onslow Cole, meanwhile, is pushing Matt Jackson. So we've got the older version of the Ford Focus up against the latest global Ford Focus in the hands of Tom Onslow Cole. So this is an interesting little tussle, and Onslow Cole having his best performances really of the season, Tim, in this car, because he started driving in the VW Golf, joined back into Team Aon, and he's had a win in a Ford here last year when they had the LPG power, but this is definitely the best performance we've seen from him since he's come back.
Yeah, I mean, the team have been working with, how best to place the weight in the car this year. Their car was actually built underweight, I think, and then when the weights went up for the turbo cars, they struggled to position it properly and lost a little bit of the dynamic movement in the car. And they're working very hard, and Onslow Cole's helping on the development of that to get some of that back in, working with placing the weight in the right place and roll centres that have the same sort of effect of pitch and movement in the car. And he's certainly a good development driver. He's getting the most out of the car now.
Yeah, and behind you've got Paul O'Neill beginning to harry Alex McDowell. You saw Alex McDowell just jink to take a tighter line into Surtees. That might help Paul O'Neill, although if anything, he's a bit wide on exit.
Yeah, Paul always extracting the maximum, and Paul's one of those drivers that's blisteringly quick, but he's always on the edge, and then that leads to those little mistakes that sometimes cost you track position.
Matt Neal is now closed onto the back of the queue, if you like, because he's behind Tom Chilton. There you are, the last car in that queue is Matt Neal, and behind him in the distance was Gordon Shedden. So the Hondas have made progress, but they've got a little bit stuck now. They're a bit stationary, lapping about the same lap times as those guys around them. The question will be the last few laps perhaps of this race. Will they have looked after their tyres sufficiently to be able to go on the attack?
Well, they've certainly been on full attack from the word go. They didn't really have any choice but to do that, so they would have been pushing the tyres very hard. And, well, I mean, Gordon Shedden said they'd made some setup changes to the car, and I believe Eddie Hinckley, the chief engineer, said they probably have to back off the camber a little bit. So I'm expecting those cars to go further than they did in the first race.
Yeah, up towards Paddock Hill Bend they come. Matt Neal trying to close that gap just a little more. Plato continues to lead. He's got a gap of just 2 seconds now over Matt Jackson, who's only just about fending off Tom Onslow Cole. McDowell still running in 4th place ahead of Paul O'Neill, who hasn't as yet managed to find a way through. James Nash is behind, and then behind Nash you've got Chilton, Matt Neal, Gordon Shedden. Andy Neate is still in 10th. You're on board with O'Neill here. This is great pictures from on board O'Neill. Now he's going to have a little look. Oh, I'm blown up. McDowell is blown up, or something's. I think there's oil and all sorts down there. Suddenly, smoke and steam pouring out of the Chevy.
Yeah, and there is a big trail of oil on the track. I can see it from our commentary box. A massive explosion there. You don't see that very often in a touring car, but that's going to be a rod out the side of the engine, and it's dumped all its oil. I'm sure that'll be a safety car because there's a lot of oil down there, but well, that's a real turn. That's not going to please Plato, his teammate. He's not going to favour there, because if there is a safety car, it'll close everybody up behind. And I'm sure all the teams will be on the radios. That's the beauty of having radios. You can say oil on the circuit. It's a real safety aid to help the guys know what to do.
Really unusual, though, to see one of those Chevy engines go like that. So very disappointing for Alex McDowell. Impressive plume of smoke and steam. I can smell the oil from our commentary box. The wind is actually blowing this way.
Well, it's swathed the whole circuit in smog. You can see it there on your picture. The actual circuit is swathed in blue smoke.
I haven't seen the safety car called yet, though. There's a drive-through for Dave Newsham, which has just been put up on our screen, but no safety car as yet. So that's very interesting. Could make life difficult as the leaders are coming back down to that area now.
Yeah, you'll see it on the road as the cars go across the bottom straight. Big shiny patch that the cars have to cross. They don't actually need to run on it, but it's certainly stopped a braking an overtaking area into Surtees.
Yeah, they're having to take a slightly different line, but hopefully, as you say, the actual turning point is not too bad. And then through Surtees they go. And let's just remind you what this has meant. It means that O'Neill has gained, because O'Neill is now up to 4th and now chasing Onslow Cole. Behind Nash, Chilton and Matt Neal. Then there's Shedden, not really able to close that group ahead of them. And there's no doubt the Hondas are not looking as fast here at Brands as we have seen them in the past, Tim. I mean, they've been quick at just about every track, but they are definitely feeling the pinch at this Brands Hatch.
Yeah, I mean, what's surprising is that having sort of shown that initial pace at the start of this race, they're not really pushing Chilton now any further, and Shedden's not catching either.
No, that's right. So they're having their work cut out here. Matt Neal runs 7th. Gordon Shedden runs in 8th place. The reverse grid, though, could still help them in race 3 later on, as Jason Plato continues to lead. There's Nash. He's running 5th in the black and silver Vauxhall, chased by Tom Chilton, winner on the Grand Prix circuit last year. Let's just take a look at the blow up again. Look at that.
Yeah, and also, and you saw that on the approach, McDowell was on the left-hand side of the track. He was trying to get out of the way and ended up crossing the track completely. So, big stream of oil all across the track.
Yeah, that must have been a bit of a moment, I should think, for Matt Neal as he sort of came through the smoke. But everything is cleared now. The car is off to the infield. No need for safety car actually in the end. So the race has continued, and Plato on his way. Still 1.9 seconds ahead. Jackson versus Onslow Cole is the battle for 2nd place. Further down the order you can see Nick Foster's currently in 10th place, Boardman 11th, Michael Caine 12th, Frank Raffel only 13th on this occasion, and Rob Austin 14th. So the NGTC cars that starred so well at Rockingham last time out, well, they haven't really shown that kind of... Oh, and there's an NGTC car. That's Dan Welsh contact, I think, with Dave Newsham.
Yeah, and I think I'm right in saying Dave Newsham had a drive-through penalty a little bit earlier, but certainly a little bit of contact there. Maybe he hasn't taken it because he wouldn't be in that position, I wouldn't have thought otherwise.
No, I think we're yet to see him come in. There's the battle for second. It's still Matt Jackson. Oh, well, we've just heard that the drive-through has been rescinded, so he's not going to have to come into the pits anymore.
Oh, he's got a good team manager then, hasn't he?
Talked him out of it. That's pretty good. There's, as I say, Onslow Cole chasing, Paul O'Neill, then James Nash and Tom Chilton. Matt Neal still stuck there in 7th place, unable to make much more progress. We have seen 12 laps completed now. We're on to lap 13 out of 15. Let's just see what's been going on here. Now, this is Chris James just behind Chris Swanwick. Yeah. And he's taken the front bumper off the Lassetti on the back of the Audi, presumably.
Yeah, and I'm sure the team can repair that. They're very good at reusing equipment, so I'm sure they'll reuse that bumper for race 3.
Oh, Matt Jackson got big sideways through Graham Hill Bend, and also Cole trying to take advantage. He got a little lock up on the left rear, just watching out of the commentary box window, and he definitely got a bit sideways, but he sort of gathered it together. But that will give Onslow Cole some hope.
Yeah, definitely, and he would love to be the first Focus home, and also the newer Shape Focus.
And it's also allowing Paul O'Neill to sort of drag up behind them as well. Behind that is still James Nash, but Matt Jackson is the grip going away on the Airwaves car. Is Onslow Cole's car perhaps working a bit better? Look how defensive Jackson is beginning to get. He's working hard now to try and hold on to this 2nd place. But remember, in terms of the championship, Jackson desperately needs this finish. He's been so unlucky in the last couple of events. But although Plato will be ahead of the championship as things stand at the moment, Jackson is going to be right that much closer to the Hondas if he can hold on to 2nd place here.
Well, we know how good Matt Jackson is at soaking up pressure. He's done it time and time again, so I'm not expecting any big mistakes. He'll soak up the pressure, and Onslow Cole is also a very fair driver. He won't do anything too aggressive or too rash, I don't think.
And Paul O'Neill's getting closer to the back of them as well, so Onslow Cole's going to have to keep an eye on his mirrors, because as they come across the line, the Go Mobile Chevy
cars, the normally aspirated cars like the Chevys, are really coming to their own at the end of the race, and that's probably what's helping Jason Plato with the additional weight. Although he's got additional weight on, the turbo cars are having more tyre wear.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, Plato up front is lapping half a second quicker than the guys behind him, except O'Neill, who is the only other driver really right on their pace. Although Nash behind was pretty quick on that last lap. You're on board with O'Neill as he chases down 3rd place here, and he got close a moment ago, but he's not quite close enough to attack. Up through Hawthorns they go, carrying about 125, 130 miles an hour through that corner, in fact, before braking and going a little slower into the right-hander at Westfield. Matt Neal's dropped away a bit in the background, I noticed, from Tom Chilton, so he's just not been able to sustain the pace this time.
Well, it's bizarre because, I mean, Matt Neal's car has no ballast on it. Chilton's car has no ballast on it, so it's a straight fight, and you'd have put your money on the Honda being quicker.
Yeah, that's right. Just see Jeff Smith running a bit wide out of Graham Hill Bend, but he got it back on the island once again. Plato still leads, and he's going to come round this time to complete lap 14 and go on to their last lap. Paul O'Neill, can he save something up for this last lap? Can he do something to get past Onslow Cole and get onto the podium or not? Let's just wait and see. Up to the outside they go into Paddock Hill Bend, plunging downhill, hitting that dip in the bottom where your tummy hits the floor, and then climbing back up towards Druids. Paul O'Neill just not close enough really to have a lunch. And look at this behind Chilton on Nash, and Chilton's got up the inside of Nash, and just as in race 1, Nash seems to lose a bit of performance at the end of the race with the Vauxhall.
Yeah, but look at that, Matt Neal nowhere in sight to take advantage of that. He may get another opportunity, but as Nash and Chilton still fighting.
Yeah, this is still good stuff. Onslow Cole and Paul O'Neill, and I tell you in the background I can see Shetton is actually under a bit of pressure from Andy Neate further back, and that was for 8th place, so Andy Neate's still going well after that little error earlier. So up through the woods they come, Plato with his advantage over Matt Jackson, Onslow Cole and O'Neill. Then behind them, of course, Nash, who has seen Tom Chilton move up to 5th place on this last lap. certainly a good race for Fords. They might not going to win this one. They're looking at finishing second, third and fifth. And there you can see, I said that Andy Neaton was quite close to Shedden. You can see it there.
Yeah, in fact, all those cars catching Shedden. And I mean, there's Michael Caine and Rathel having a great...
Yeah.
Rathel's got to be careful. That's where he broke his suspension on the last race. But it is the final lap, so you've got to go for it. It's for 12th place.
But here comes Jason Plato. He's coming through clearways, and it is going to be, like earlier this season, a double victory here at Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix track. That's career win number 68. The big 70 is getting closer and closer. But Jason Plato, another very accomplished victory. Jackson finishes second. Oslo Cole held third from O'Neill. Chilton fifth. Nash sixth. Neal seventh. And Shedden eighth. And an awful lot will now depend on the draw for the reverse grid. Will it be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cars in that draw?
Yeah, well, if it's only 6, Nash will be on the front row. If it's 8, 7 or 8, then Neal or Shedden or both will be on the front row. And wouldn't they like that for the last race with no weight on board?
8th win of the season there for Jason Plato. I mean, that is a huge tally of victories now. It matches, I think, his best seasons. He's won 8 in the past. He won it when he won the championship back in 2001. He won 8 races in 2008. So it's a remarkable tally that to have, and we've still got a few races to go.
Well, it is, and you think back sort of earlier in the year, he was the underdog complaining about the regulations, and now it's all coming good at the end of the season for him. And whether he's played the best political game this year or had the best car or been the best driver, I'll leave that for you to decide. But clearly it's sort of unravelled at the moment for Honda, who looked like they could win every race at the start of the year, but in that particular race the Hondas they made their initial gains, but then they struggled to go any further. In fact, were being caught at the end of the race by other cars. So and you can't account for the weight difference there. It can only be the reduction in boost pressure they've suffered and the additional 20 kilos they were asked to carry. So Honda's struggling.
The other thing we've got to make the most of, make the point about, of course, is the fact that Jason is now the championship leader with not many points scored by Neal and Shedden. They certainly, he is the championship leader. So let's have a very quick word with Jason. He's heading down in towards the pits. Jason, don't know if you can hear me, but that was another very accomplished drive and puts you on top of the points, we reckon, now.
Hi Ben, thanks very much. Yeah, I mean, you know, my Silverline Chevrolet Cruze has been absolutely fantastic this weekend. I've just got the car exactly where I wanted to. My balance is perfect. Yeah, I'm a happy bunny.
Well, well done. We'll no doubt hear more from Jason in a few moments' time. He's just coming into the end of the pit lane. And the results of the second race here at Brands, it is 2 out of 2 for Jason Plato. He is now back up there in the championship, certainly. Matt Jackson finishing in second. Tom Onslow Cole an excellent third, his best result since he's come back into Team Aon, and he'll be chuffed about that. Paul O'Neill a solid fourth, Tom Chilton fifth, James Nash still scoring those vital points in sixth, ahead of the 2 Hondas of Matt Neal and Gordon Shedden. Andy Neaton, Nick Foster, they'll be both pleased to have got into the top 10. Tom Bourman finished 11th. Great dice between Michael Caine and Frank Raffel for 12th there. Won by Michael Caine. Rob Austin behind them, then Martin Byford. Andrew Jordan coming from the back, finished 16th ahead of Dave Newsham, Molly Jackson, Liam Griffin and John George. And then down towards the back, Lee Wood, Rob Collard had to come into the pits, Tony Gillam, Jeff Smith, Chris James, Tony Hughes, Chris Swanwick and Dan Welsh and Alex McDowell, who had that spectacular blow-up. So let's take a look at the points then, and Jason Plato now leads the championship. He's on 215 points. He's second ahead of Matt Neal, who's just one ahead of his teammate Gordon Shedden. And of course, don't discount Matt Jackson, because Jackson's scoring solidly again there with second position, and it could still be a four-way battle going into the finale at Silverstone. Right, let's get down to the pits and more reaction with Simon. Thank you very much, Simon. Well, yeah, you're right. We've got a lot to look forward to in this final race of the day. Honda have got it all to do, but they've got every chance to do it because they're up front. Plato's back in 10th place now.
Yeah, this is their opportunity to get their points back. Plato's carrying the weight and has got to fight through some cars. they're on the second row of the grid with very light cars, but there's clearly some uncertainty about where to go on setup. I suspect that it's a little bit cooler now. It's the end of the day. It's more like the Friday morning when they did their race runs that were so successful that led them into the first race, and with confidence that was perhaps misplaced when they both had punctures. I suspect that Matt Neal has stayed with the more conservative setup, but that clearly wasn't very quick in race 2, and Gordon's perhaps gone back to what they had on Friday.
Well, let's wait and see. Of course, Plato would love to do a 3 out of 3. He's done it on the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit before. It was a very dramatic race, the one that he managed it on. It was championship decider in 2009. Well, let's see whether he can do it here. It's going to be a bit of a tall order, I think, but he's always one to watch, and he's had 2 victories already today. So the BMW sitting up on the pole position. Obviously, Nick Foster will be looking to try and get a good getaway from there. The Fords have been pretty impressive today. The Team Aon cars, all 3 cars actually, have been running strongly, haven't they?
Yeah, all the Fords actually back on pace. It was a mysterious one at Rockingham where they were off the pace after being so quick at Knock Hill the week before, the couple of races before, sorry. But they're back on their front-running pace. Obviously, Matt Jackson's been up there and had 2 excellent second places. The Aon cars backing that up with very strong performances. So, yeah, they're and all 3 members of the team at Aon have been very quick. And there's, of course, 3 members of Motorbase as well. So 6 good focuses up there.
That's right, there's Shedden. He starts on the inside of the second row. Andy Neate is in one of the Team Aon Fords up front, and he made a mistake, was passed by Shedden in that last race, but then actually at the end Neate felt that he was actually quicker than Shedden. Shedden really was struggling towards the end of that race, so I think Andy, even though he's starting up on the front row, I think he'll feel confident that he might be able to keep that Ford up there.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to Eddie Hinckley, the engineer at Honda, and he felt that they'd been a bit too conservative on the back of the first race, and the cars had a lot of understeer, and of course they worked the tyres very hard in the first few laps when they were making ground up on the cars. But you're right, at the end of the race Andy Neate was quicker than Shedden, and Matt was unable to challenge Shilton in the other, so we'll see. I mean, I think Gordon Shedden's little fingers crossed as he sat in the car there to the camera really sums up where they are. They're just not sure which way to go, but they've split their chances across the setups on the 2 Hondas, and one of them should be able to come through.
So just to remind you, Jason Plato is now 7 points ahead in the championship as we go into this 3rd and final race of the day here at Brands. But it's Nick Foster on pole position ahead of Andy Neate on the first row. Gordon Shedden and Matt Neal are together on row 2 in their 2 Hondas, desperate for points to reclaim the championship lead. James Nash and Tom Chilton are together on row 3. Nash has been consistent today. O'Neill and Tom Onslow Cole on row 4. Jason Plato there on row 5 with Matt Jackson on his inside. Jackson's also had a much better day than he has had in recent occasions. Tom Bourman and Michael Caine on row 6. Sayat versus Ford. Frank Rathel and Rob Austin on row 7. So the 2 NGTC stars of recent events are together on the 7th row. Then Byford and Jordan, Newsham and Ollie Jackson, coming to the end of his first meeting in touring cars. Liam Griffin and John George on row 10. Lee Wood and Rob Collard on row 11. Then Tony Gillam and Jeff Smith. Tony hoping for his turbocharged BMW next time at Silverstone. Chris James and Tony Hughes on row 13. Chris Swanwick and Dan Welsh on row 14. And of course Alex McDowell at the back after that very dramatic engine blow-up that he suffered in race 2. And I can tell you, just watching him go through paddock, he is there at the back of the grid. So all the cars, I think, have made it out. Now, Paul O'Neill, he's obviously in another Chevrolet. He is on the road just ahead of Jason Plato. I wonder whether he's going to fight his own battles or help Jason. Let's see if we can find out. Paul, it's Ben in the combox. I just wondered, are you racing for yourself here, or will you be leaving the door open for a certain Mr. Plato in another Chevrolet to come through?
Well, let's make it quite clear that I'm racing for Tech Speed with Sunshine and Go Mobile today, but I have to say Jason's been very, very good to me all year. He's not hit me like a few of the championship protagonists have, so if Jason flashes his lights like we've agreed, that's the deal, and let's crack on.
Okay, well that's a very fair and honest comment. Thanks, Paul, and I hope you have a great race.
Yeah, I think, Paul's thoroughly enjoying. He's driving the wheels off that car, but I was talking to Tech Speed, the team, and Marvin Humphreys was saying that they haven't got the latest dampers on the car, because we were seeing through Westfield and through Sheen Curve, the car was reacting a lot more to the curves and the bumps than Plato's car. He said they just haven't got the latest dampers on it, and it just shows the difference that dampers make in controlling that big weight of the car on the four wheels. And any time spent bouncing up and down and loading and unloading the wheels is time not spent going forwards. And but full credit to the team and to Paul for getting the car up there. And clearly at the end of the races, those cars, the front wheel drive, normally aspirated cars, are lighter on their tyres, and they're going very quickly, and that's what enabled Jason to run quickly at the end of the race, even with weight on. So watch for them at the end of the race.
Definitely. A lot more shade though now. The trees, obviously, the sun has dropped down, the trees giving a lot of shade, so track temperatures will be a little less than we saw earlier on today.
Yeah, and this will obviously help the tyres, definitely, of the front wheel drive cars, and negate some of the advantage that the normally aspirated cars have, and the rear wheel drive cars as well.
There we've got the track temperature, 27.8 degrees at the moment, air temperature 24.5, so it's come down a little bit from what the heights we saw earlier on today, and very little breeze, of course. It's been an absolutely glorious day. Brands Hatch has been resplendent today, there's no doubt.
It has, and I tell you, there'll be some tired drivers in those cars, because I was talking to the Porsche drivers after their race, and a lot of them were actually struggling with exhaustion, and they've had 2 races, not 3. In fact, one of the Porsche races was yesterday, so it's clearly going to be a young man's fitness game at the end of this race, just as well I'm not out there.
Well, let's see what Jason Plato does. He's starting from 10th place on the grid this time, remember. He's taken 2 wins today. Can he do it from somewhat further back on the grid? And we've got one of the older drivers starting on pole position, not Gordon Shedden, but Nick Foster. Nick, of course, coming into the series this year, the first year of what he intends to be a 3-year plan, the 45-year-old. In fact, his birthday coming up in a few days' time, so he's got his early birthday present. He's on the pole position. His teammate had his birthday yesterday, Rob Collard. Let's see what Nick Foster can do from pole position this time. Last few cars just moving into play. That's a great shot. Look at it. The sun beginning to dip. We are in for a real tremendous race, I think. The last one of the day here at Brands. Round 27 about to get underway then. Watch that BMW from pole. Nick Foster, can he get it off the line? Second time this year, he started from there. Away we go. And it's a good start by Foster. Andy Neate moves into second. Matt Neal is going to go around the outside of Gordon Shedden in the battle of the Hondas. Matt Neal gets in front of Shedden, and he will have felt that was very important. And look at the start that Nick Foster has made.
Well, you'd expect BMW to get off the line, but Nick didn't disappoint. He got away, I remember, early in the year at Croft when he was on pole and didn't make the best of starts, but no problem there. Oh, Tony Hughes is off.
Well, we've gone through the first few corners without drama up to now, but we've lost one there at Paddock Hill Bend, but it's Foster that leads the race. Andy Neate under pressure from Matt Neal. Matt Neal now beginning to attack for second, can't quite do it. Shedden is behind him in 4th place, and then behind him is James Nash, Paul O'Neill. Watch for Plato. Plato, I don't think, had a particularly good start, and I don't think he's made any ground. If anything, he's about where he started. As the 2 Hondas come through, it is Nick Foster still leading.
That was a very aggressive move by Matt Neal to get in between Andy Neate and his teammate Shedden before Paddock was really leading. Or they've caught Foster on this lap, and look at that, round the outside. Neate, that could leave the door open for Matt Neal, and Shedden could both get through on the run down Dingledale.
Oh yes, Shedden trying to squeeze through, and he's on the grass doing so, but he gets it. Andy Neate, he made the attempt to take the lead, but in doing so, it's cost him 2 places, and now he's trying to defend from James Nash. So Matt Neal has gone second. 3rd place for Shedden. The Hondas could still come out of this pretty well, because Plato is mired down pretty much where he started in 10th place. Nick Foster leads into clearways then, followed by the 2 Hondas, and then it's the 4, and already Matt Neal going on the attack. You're on board with Matt Neal up the inside. Was there a little bit of touch? I think there was.
I think that was just Matt getting on the grass actually, and it just upsetting the car. He was so keen not to make contact, and Foster's been hung out to dry NASCAR style on the outside, and Andy Neate's gone through as well.
Yeah, and look at Paul O'Neill. He's under threat from Tom Chilton up the inside. It's all happening now. Chilton up the inside of Paul O'Neill, tucked in behind James Nash, but it's Matt Neal that leads this race in the Honda. It's a Honda 1-2, and Plato is indeed in 11th place. There he is, lost a place from his start.
Yeah, I think he's just keeping his powder dry a little bit. Paul O'Neill managed to resist that overtake by Chilton by going all the way around the outside of Druids and holding the inside down into Graham Hill. But look at that, how close they are. Jason Plato on the back of that battle. It could all work out to his advantage or very much against him, depending on what happens.
It's funny that Plato's right behind Boardman. Remember what happened when Plato was in front of Boardman at Knock Hill. There was a bit of a tap from Boardman and Plato went off. Well, Jason is now tucked in behind the Seat. Let's see what's going to happen. You're riding on board, and just ahead, James Nash and Foster. So Nash gets past Foster, and O'Neill's going to be through on the inside. So Foster losing a lot of places here.
Yeah, he seems to be struggling at Westfield, doesn't he? Just getting out wide, and they're running up the inside of it down Dingledale. But the Honda's in formation. Let's see whose setup's working best in this race. It'll be very interesting to see.
That was Onslow Cole, who's dropped a place to Boardman. So Plato's in that group. Boardman has actually gained a place, but Plato he's still under threat there because he's got Michael Caine right behind him as well. So he's right in the mix where it's all happening at the moment.
Yeah, he's got no choice but to race. If he's too circumspect, they'll all mug him and get past. But he's got no choice to get stuck into this battle. But nobody knows the art of touring car racing better than Jason. So he knows when to attack, when not to attack. At the moment, he's just letting Onslow Cole do the hard work against Boardman.
Yeah, and Onslow Cole just trying everything he can to get past the Seat. Meanwhile, behind Plato now is Andrew Jordan, by the way, who's got past that next group, so he's going to have to watch his mirrors. Out front, it's Matt Neal from Gordon Shedden. Andy Neate still holding on really well in third place. Great drive this from Andy. Old Neal, very wide. That was Paul O'Neill, but he got it back on the tarmac, I think, in the Chevrolet. There comes the other gaggle of cars, and there you've got Tom Chilton just ahead of Nick Foster now, so Chilton has got past him. Meanwhile, Matt Jackson is down in 8th place, and now he's trying to get past that BMW.
Yeah, he's made slightly better progress than Plato did, because obviously he was starting next to him on the grid, and Matt has charged up. This is one of his strong drives. Brands Hatch, one of his favourite circuits, and he too has got the inside of Pascal down Dingledale.
Yeah, so a place gained by Matt Jackson in the Ford, and that will bring him up to 7th, I think, now. Nick Foster drops down to 8th. Behind him, he's still got Boardman, Onslow Cole and Plato. Top three are back into clearways as we're on lap 3, about to start lap 4. There is Paul O'Neill, he's running in 5th place. So still pushing mighty hard in the Chevrolet, but Matt Neal beginning to make a tiny bit of a break. That was the new fastest lap in this race by Matt Neal. Shetton chases him half a second behind. Then it's Neate in 3rd place, with Nash a bit further back in 4th. There he is, silver and black car, followed by Paul O'Neill, then Tom Chilton, Matt Jackson, Nick Foster, Tom Boardman, Onslow Cole, and Plato still in 11th.
Yeah, but it was Nash actually that set the fastest lap of the race on that last lap. So he's actually catching these front 3, look.
Yeah, he is getting closer, you're right, in the Vauxhall, so could be an opportunity for Nash. Meanwhile, Plato has... we've got Frank Rattles off at Graham Hill Bend, by the way. I've just seen that out of the commentary box window, and he's ended up in the gravel trap. So Frank Rathel, who was running 13th, is out. There you are, he's in the gravel trap. That's just down in front of our commentary position, so he's out.
Yeah, it's a great shame. He hasn't had the best weekend this weekend, Frank, after a couple of brilliant meetings at Knock Hill and Rockingham, but sadly disappointing at the end. But there's plenty more action for us to watch as Jordan is on the back of Plato now. Yeah,
Plato really seems to be struggling to actually move forwards, and if anything, he's having to defend, because there is Andrew Jordan in the Pertec car, breathing down his neck, and the Silverline Chevrolet. Plato giving everything he can, but it's proving to be quite difficult. Look how much curve they use at Sheen Corner, coming up to the left-hander now at Stirling's.
Yeah, well, you'd expect Plato maybe to suffer a bit. Don't forget, Jordan qualified right up on the front of the grid, and he's running with no ballast on, and Plato's got maximum ballast, so you'd expect Jordan to be very close on times.
Absolutely, and just in front of Plato there is Tom Onslow Cole. Onslow Cole had a really good podium finish, of course, last time out as well, but he's also carrying some ballast. Now moving around is Tom Boardman in the black Seat. He's trying to get past Nick Foster as well, and Foster, who started on pole, now finds himself down in 8th position as the 2 Hondas continue to lead here.
Yeah, with Matt Neal setting the fastest lap on that last lap, not just on the lap but of the race, so he's picked up his pace a little.
So the Hondas are in front. They desperately want these points to reclaim the championship lead going into the finale at Silverstone. A lot will depend on where Plato gets to, and at the moment Plato's not in the points here, so he's not scoring anything right now, And the fastest lap for Matt Neal obviously gets an extra bonus point for the Honda driver. So Jason now, you would think, will start to try and make an impact on these guys ahead. There behind is Michael Caine, a little bit of damage on that car.
Yeah, let's hope that bonnet stays closed on that. Oh, John George in the sister car to Paul O'Neill, the Go Mobile car. He's off, but he's not in the ground. He should be able to get that started and rejoin.
Okay, well, let's see what happens there. Plato still chasing down Tom Onslow Cole, and up ahead of them is Tom Borman. Nick Foster is now at the front of this group, and we've seen Nick just dropping back a little bit, and Borman now on the inside. Oh, there's a bit of contact. This will help Plato, because he's going to try and he has to get on the brakes on the straight.
No, it's just nowhere for him to go. Look, he's braking early again there. It's just nowhere for him to go. The road was blocked. It was the M25 at Brands.
Well, I thought that might be an opportunity for him, but as you say, nothing opened up, did it? And you're riding on board with Plato again as he's trying to get past Nick Foster, but Andrew Jordan's right behind and trying to go up the outside, so this is tricky. Is he going to go down the inside? No, he's not. Through Paddock Hill Bend they go, and Andrew Jordan is still on Plato's boot lead as they come up the hill towards the hairpin, and Foster shuts the door.
He shuts the door. Plato has to shut the door behind because he's got attack from Andrew Jordan. It's such a close battle, this, and Jason's not making the progress he'd like to do. But don't forget, all those cars in front, the turbocharged front-wheel drive cars, not Foster's, but the turbocharged cars, will have a tyre disadvantage to Jason at the end of the race.
Yeah, but he's got to find a way of getting past a few cars, surely reasonably soon. Boorman leads this little group. Boorman in the black car running in 8th place. Behind them still, we've got Onslow Cole, then Foster, then Plato, and then Jordan, and McDowell's out. Well, that's a shame for the team who worked so hard to get him back out after that dramatic engine failure earlier today.
Yeah, what a shame. Obviously something's gone wrong. Maybe it was the rushed installation of the engine. I'm speculating, obviously, but who knows. As Plato got up the inside, not quite enough, I don't think. That's the best place to pass Foster on the circuit, and he's seen other cars too. He's got good run through here though. Good run through. Will he dive up the inside? No. You could turn in so early to Stirling's because the camber holds the car in. You can turn in very early there. It's an easy place to defend.
Well, Foster, fair enough, he's driving hard. Both are normally aspirated cars, of course. They've got the turbocharged Vauxhall, though, closing up on them, of Andrew Jordan. And once again, Plato needs to try and get past that BMW quickly. Otherwise, he's coming under more threat from Andrew Jordan, who's desperate to make up for the fact the car wouldn't start at the beginning of the day, and he never got to start from the front row of the grid. He holds on to 12th place at the moment. You can see up ahead, by the way, that looked like Onslow Cole. Yeah, he was trying to get past Boorman, but he didn't quite make it, so Boorman still holds on to 8th place. Yeah, Michael Caine.
I think Caine is actually bringing Collard up to the back of this group. Yeah. They could well be on the back of this group.
Yeah, that's right. Rob Collard is in the other BMW there, trying to get past Michael. And behind them is Dave Newsham in the Seat, as the leaders have already headed out onto the Grand Prix track. And we're concentrating on this group because it's so important, with Plato being in the middle of it. There goes Caine, Collard, Newsham in the yellow and black Seat. Behind them you've got Byford in the Golf, then Dan Welsh in the Proton, Rob Austin in the Audi. This fantastic field of cars that we've got at Brands Hatch this weekend. What a variety of cars too. But Plato, can he find a way past that BMW? So close on the exit of Westfield, but there's no room on the way into Sheen.
No, he just hasn't quite got enough. The turbocharged cars all managed to get past Foster there. You can see, will he have a go? Oh, so difficult to get down the inside. He had the momentum, but just couldn't open the door enough to get inside.
Foster impressive on the brakes in the Stirlings. He's certainly braking late, but still getting the car nicely turned in. So out of clearways they come as the shadows lengthen here. We're on lap 8 out of 15, half distance more or less in this final race of the day. And the pendulum swinging back towards Honda at the moment, because Matt Neal and Gordon Shenton are leading this race, and they've got themselves a couple of seconds advantage over the opposition as Bournemouth put a wheel into the gravel there. Still held it in just about. Foster still fending off Plato. Leaders are through.
Look at Paul O'Neill behind James Nash.
Yeah.
He's coming on song now. I suspect that his tyre's going to be in better position, and he could be up for a really good result here.
Yeah, he could. He's got to keep his head now. Still half the race to go as he puts the pressure on Nash. And Nash has been fast in the early stages of the races, but has fallen away a little bit with lack of grip at the end of the races.
Yeah, and another Paul O'Neill, don't forget, he only started just in front of Jason Plato as well, so he and Jackson have really made inroads towards the front in this race, and Plato hasn't.
Yeah, things have not opened up for him. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And for the moment, Paul O'Neill trying to close that gap a bit, although on this last lap, James Nash has driven well. He's just eked out a slight advantage again.
Oh, big slide there again from that Paul O'Neill's Chevy, and a real big entertaining moments he's given us through Sheen this weekend.
Well, he's trying so hard, isn't he? Down into clearways they come. Plato still hasn't got past that BMW of Nick Foster. Foster doing nothing wrong. He's fighting for his position, as he has every right to do, and it's the final points paying position. Still Plato can't find a way through as yet. What about the run off the corner?
Oh, mistake, yes, mistake by Foster. He got a sideways moment, that's opened the door, and I'm sure that both Plato and Jordan are going to go through. That was just the opportunity they were looking for.
So Plato at last gets past the BMW. It puts him into 10th place. Now we get a chance to see how fast he can go, because he's got a bit of clear air in front of him.
Oh, Michael Caine, is that Michael Caine?
Yeah,
yes, it is. Had a moment at Paddock as well. Oh, he was doing so well. What a shame.
Yeah, he's lost some ground there, no doubt about it. Has got back on in front of Byford, so he'll still be in 16th place, I think, as Jordan and Foster come through Graham Hill Bend. But this lap time coming up from Plato will be one to watch, because if he's really got some pace in that car, he should be able to close up to Tom Onslow Cole pretty quickly.
Yeah, still a third of the race to go though, so he's definitely got time to do it, but a safety car would really suit Jason now, wouldn't it? Yeah, let's see just how much influence he's got over Alan Gow.
Yeah, that's right. A bit of debris on track would certainly help Plato right now, but let's see what happens. Nash is still in 4th place. There's O'Neill. He's in 5th position in the Go Mobile car. This is a solid performance from him, but can he get a bit closer?
Yeah, and in fact, James Nash has received the black and white warning flag for exceeding track limits, so once more time, 4 wheels over the exit curb at Graham Hill, and he could be given a drive-through penalty.
Oh, it would be difficult to go with that, and there you can see how quick O'Neill was. Down into clearways. Can he get the run going as they come down the straight? That's where the Vauxhall's fast, though, across the start-finish line. But if O'Neill can now try and just get the judgment right going into Paddock Hill Bend and then cut back for Druids, but he's not quite close enough here.
No, there's no doubt about the mid-corner speed of the Paul O'Neill Chevrolet. He's got more grip already. Nash is running out of grip at the front.
Yeah, even at this stage in the race. And up front, I can tell you, still the Hondas are leading. Still Neil from Shedden.
Watch Nash on the exit. Oh, it's Neil that goes wide.
Well, that was a real surprise. What happened there? It suddenly just went on him.
Yeah, suddenly went. Now he's checking the car. Something's gone wrong, I think. He was looking down in the car. Meanwhile, we go back to the leaders and a comfortable Honda 1-2, and Shedden not putting Neil under any pressure at all.
Ollie Jackson's just run wide through Graham Hill Bend. Makes me wonder, didn't see anyone else run wide. No, there's a problem though with O'Neill though.
Yeah, something went there at the back, didn't he? Just suddenly the car snapped. It almost like he got hit from the back, but there was no one close to him. So what a shame for Paul O'Neill, who's been great entertainment this weekend.
Yeah, well, of course it moves everybody else up one. It brings Plato up to 9th now, but as he chases down, and indeed Jason has set his own personal best lap on that last lap. He was half a second quicker than Tom Onslow Cole ahead of him. But the leaders are still lapping pretty quickly. There they are, Matt Neal and Gordon Shedden in the 1:33s. They're lapping fast here and certainly going extremely well. They need to look after their tyres. I'm sure they'll be aware of any vibration they might be feeling now, because they don't want another puncture.
No, but I mean, Matt Neal's now, I mean, he's still maintaining a very good place. He's only 6/10 off his fastest lap, so he's maintaining a very strong pace on the Honda.
I'll tell you what's also impressive is the way that Andy Neate is holding on to 3rd place in the Team Aon Ford, because, you know, Andy could be heading for a podium finish here if he can hang on to this, and he's driving really well. He's keeping Nash at a distance behind him. His own teammate, Tom Chilton, there's Tom, but he's not really closing up either.
No, and what we've got to look for Andy is for no mistakes and to manage the tyre degradation towards the end of the race when understeer comes into the car.
So let's see whether he gets his best ever finish. Well, Matt Jackson's in 6th place, Tom Moorman there in 7th. Now Plato has called on Zogol. Oh, that's great. He goes right down the inside at the first opportunity. Lovely move.
That was a decisive, clean, perfect move. Lovely place to overtake that. Really satisfying place to overtake, and he did that really clinically. Now Plato's, as you say, so his fastest lap on the last lap. His car is as strong, if not stronger, as it's ever been, just while the others are coming back to him. But is it going to be too little too late?
So another place gained. We gather it's a drive shaft failure on Paul O'Neill's car, so that's why the car darted, because as the drive shaft failed, presumably it pulled the car the other way.
Well, he lost drive to one wheel and it just snapped out like getting an instant puncture, really. But so what a great shame.
So Plato has gained that position now. Are we going to see these two swapping over? Because, and remember, you get an extra bonus point for leading a race at some stage. What they may do is swap them over for one lap and then swap them back. We've seen it before.
Yeah, they could well do, because that would they need to maximise all the points, don't they? Or is it just
coming into this race? Remember, they were tied before this event. So are they going to do a straightforward swap?
Well, that was a very easy pass for Shedden. I mean, no doubt that Plato let him through. I mean, Gordon was almost a little bit hesitant whether to pass there, but he did go through, so let's see what happens after this lap.
But will he let him back past again?
Well, it looks like Matt's got, exactly the same pace as him, so I think Matt was just slowing down to let him through, so yeah, we'll see if he does let him through.
Well, the chase...
I'm sure if he doesn't, he won't be in the car at Silverstone.
Absolutely, yeah, that's right. The chase for every bonus point is so crucial here. Matt Neal has got fastest lap in this race at the moment, and it's unlikely we're not going to go quicker than that now, because the tyres are past their best. So he's got one extra bonus. Now they're trying to get an extra bonus point for Gordon Shedden. It does show you how serious the team is about beating everyone else and then sort of letting the drivers get on with it in terms of which one of them is going to come out on top. And it's lovely to see that. Let's watch. Shedden will definitely cross the line ahead now, but then what happens? Does he move back over, and then do they start racing, or what?
Yeah, I know, it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, it's getting down to the crunch now. There'll only be 3 more races after this, so every point's crucial. But yeah, the team have been, the most tight-knit of all the teams in the paddock this year. They've really worked well as a team, even when they
to change again. They've earned the extra bonus point. You only get the bonus point once, so you might as well swap them back, and that's what's happening. The same corner that Shedden took the lead, Matt Neal now takes the lead. And now what happens? Do they do, I guess, with the problem they've had with tyres today, the last thing they actually need is these two guys going at it hammer and tongs. Yeah,
I mean, the reality is they need to win this race in the slowest and safest possible way. I'm actually surprised they went as hard as they did mid-race, but they need to be stroking these cars home, staying off the curbs now. It's not the time to battle amongst themselves. They need to both finish, and I'm sure they will. Barry Plowman was on the radio there. We saw him telling Gordon to let Matt back past, and I'm sure they'll stroke this car home now. They got nearly 5-second lead.
In the meantime, though, Plato has got past Onslow Cole, so he's up to 8th place now, and he's now trying to get past the Seat of Tom Boorman. And we've got one of the Fords off. Which one was that? Which Ford has got? It's Andy Neate from 3rd. Oh, Andy! He was heading for his... Oh, my goodness
so
me!
Close. He's just come on in front of Plato, Boorman, Onslow Cole, and Plato's got through.
Plato, it did open up for him that time. My goodness, he could have so easily got out in that, but Plato actually came through it unscathed, and I think Plato is now in 7th place because Jackson crosses the line in 5th, so Plato will be 6th now. So that has certainly helped him.
Well, that was a gift, wasn't it? But poor Andy Neate thrown away that podium. We didn't see what happened, but I said, Andy, no mistakes, please, before the end of the race, and something's gone wrong. Here we go. He's come through. Oh, big slide. It started at Sheen Curve and went all the way down to Stirling's.
Dear, oh dear. Top 2 Hondas. Look at the sideways. James Nash must have been wondering, where's he going to go? Tom Chilton only just missed him as well as he came back across. Now, look at this. Into the gravel he goes. No coming back from there, was there?
No, absolutely not. And Honda's driving nicely off the curbs at the moment, just stroking the car home. Collard's off.
Well, they're certainly visiting the gravel traps in this one. Collard out of the race as well. Plato in 6th place, remember, having made that move on Onslow Cole, that lovely move at Surtees. He's still now chasing down Matt Jackson. Jackson, of course, still a championship contender as well, a bit more of an outsider, but he's still in the hunt as the top 2 are now just cruising, I would think, as Andy Neate, he's had to come in the pits. What a shame for Andy. He was looking at his best ever finish in British touring cars, and it's gone out the window, sadly. But these two guys, the 2 Honda drivers, have turned around what looked to be a bit of a disaster in race 1 when they both suffered punctures, and it looks as though they're going to reclaim the top spots in the championship prior to Silverstone.
Well, Matt Neal said they wanted some silverware for the team, and they've certainly done a perfect team job in this race, and well, I'm not going to count my chickens the way things have gone. I want to see them cross the finish line first, but so far they've managed the race perfectly and definitely clawed some points back on Plato.
James Nash is now in third place, remember, so James Nash, the one who's inherited third after Andy Neate's got out. Tom Chilton is in fourth position, fifth place for Matt Jackson, sixth place for this guy, Jason Plato, so he will score a few points, and it's going to keep things incredibly tight up at the top of the table. I can tell you Dan Welsh currently in 11th place, having a good old dice with Nick Foster further down the order as well, and so is Rob Austin with Michael Caine. But as we watch the two Hondas here, it does look as though they're going to be able to bring something good out of the Brands Hatch meeting, which looked so difficult for them earlier on today. And that's how you win championships. You've got to be able to bounce back from disaster, and they seem to have done that, as long as they can get through the last part of the lap.
Yeah, fingers crossed they'll make it, and a great performance. James Nash back on the podium again, and in front of Matt Jackson, his rival in the independents, but Jackson's had a great weekend with 2 seconds and a fifth, and Chilton, nice to see him back up there in fourth.
Yeah, definitely good effort from him, but here comes Matt Neal, the other great rival with Jason Plato having won 2 today earlier on. It's Matt Neal who takes victory for Honda. His teammate Gordon Shedden finishes in second place. So it's win number 6 for Matt Neal this year, and after the dramas of earlier on today, that one really mattered and they've brought it home. Nash is third, Chilton fourth, Jackson is fifth, Plato comes home in 6th place. So Jason Plato will score 5 points as opposed to the 17 points that Matt Neal will have scored here. So Matt will have outscored it by 12, and it will put him back on top of the championship. Matt Neal will be the series leader going into the final round of the championship. So a really good result at the end of the day there for the two Honda guys, Matt Neal and Gordon Shedden. Let's see if we can grab a quick word with Matt. Matt, that was exactly the result you needed after a difficult day. Well done, you guys certainly controlled that one.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, we, as you say, we certainly needed that one.
And now the prospects for Silverstone.
Yeah. After this one, look forward to Silverstone, see what we can do there.
Great, many congratulations today. And Matt Neal coming back then from the disaster of that first race of the day when they suffered punctures on both cars. I suppose in a way it worked out fairly, because if one of them had a puncture and the other one hadn't, that would have really changed the shape of the championship. But really now what we've got is a 3-way tussle, possibly 4 if Matt Jackson has a wonderful Silverstone and some of the others have problems. But we certainly have the two Hondas versus Jason Plato for the British Touring Car title of 2011. And what a way to set up Silverstone in 2 weeks' time. It promises to be absolutely fabulous. Shedden there, he's going to be right in that. The result then of round 27, Matt Neal takes the win from his teammate, the two Honda racing cars coming through there to take maximum points. James Nash for fine third, Tom Chilton fourth for Team Aon, and Matt Jackson in his Airways Ford finished fifth. Plato, he struggled a bit in that race, but he came through to finish sixth. Onslow Cole seventh. Andrew Jordan came up well to 8th place. Tom Borman finished in 9th. And Nick Foster, well, he hung on gamely at the end for the final points for 10th. Dan Welsh was 11th ahead of Dave Newsham and Michael Caine. Then Rob Austin, Jeff Smith, Ian Griffin and Martin Byford, Ollie Jackson, Chris James and Chris Swanick on his first weekend as well. Behind them we saw the likes of John George and Tony Hughes, but what about Andy Neate? He was heading for a podium finish. You've got to feel for him. He drove superbly, but just one little mistake. Take a look at the points. This is how it will be going into the final 2 races at Silverstone. Matt Neal is indeed the championship leader, tied on points for second now with Jason Plato and Gordon Shedden. 5 points separate the top 3 drivers in the championship. It is going to be absolutely fantastic, and Matt Jackson and James Nash are also still fighting hard for the independents title, which will also be settled in the final 2 races at Silverstone.